Hello everybody, my name is Shuma. Today I'm going to be talking about how I ran a marathon without training technically, but technically not, because I run a lot. So essentially the night before, I read a chapter of David Goggins' book, chapter 7. That chapter talks about the 40-60% rule, basically saying that everyone in life only pushes about 40%, and there's around 60% left over in the tank that no one taps into, and you should try and tap into it. So around for about the last 6 to 7 months, I've been running just in my free time for fitness, and obviously because I really started to enjoy running. And one of the things I've been really enjoying about running is sort of long distance stuff. So I do maybe 10 kilometers, which is not entirely a lot, but it's also not short. And I've always sort of wondered, how far could I actually go if I pushed myself? Because a lot of these times when I'm doing these 10Ks, I'm tired at maybe 8-9 kilometers and like, I'll just do 10 kilometers for the rest of my life. Like, I'm not going to be able to do an ultra marathon. That seems too much. But I was always pretty curious to see how far I could run. And at that point, the first I'd ever run was 16 kilometers, which felt like a goddamn lot at the time. But I don't think that is even scratching the surface, especially of what I did, considering a full marathon is 42.2 kilometers. And here the night before, I was playing some Minecraft Bed Wars with Luster, and I just said to him, like, I'm going to go run a marathon tomorrow. I told him that I'd never run more than 16 kilometers, so that's 26 kilometers further than I've ever gone before. It's almost triple. And, he supported me. He said, I was like, what percentage chance do you think I'd do it? And he was like, I give you 80% chance that you did it. So shout out to him for believing in me. But got to 5:30 a.m. and I surprisingly, on only about 5-6 hours of sleep, woke up decently energized. I think I was on a lot of adrenaline because I was really excited to really test my limits. So yeah, I got to the park at around maybe 5:35, I think. I started running, and surprisingly, the first 20 laps, so the first 16 kilometers, which was my original personal best, were quite easy. Like, I didn't really feel that tired. Didn't have to stop for water. Didn't have to get into my energy gel. Didn't have to use my asthma pump again after I'd started. So, it was pretty surprising. I was like, all right, 20 laps, no problems. I'm easily going to be able to do 53 laps, which is the required amount of laps I need to do to hit 42.2 kilometers. Lap after lap after 20, it started to get really goddamn hard. The first issue I had when running this was 100% hydration. Like, I hadn't had any water and any food since the night before, like dinner time. So it's been a good 8 to 10 hours without any food or water. So I was getting really goddamn thirsty. To top it off as well, it was sort of raining the entire time. It hadn't gone too bad yet. It was only spitting at this point, but it does get a lot worse later in the video or the run, depending how you want to look at it. But around, I think, lap 22, maybe 23, I stopped for my first sip of water. And so the way the track is designed, there's like the entrance here is a water tap there, but around on the other side, about 700 meters into the track, there's another water tap. And so I had that as like my, I don't know, you could call it a pit stop, but that's where I would go and stop and get water. And the first time I stopped to get water, I just quickly got as much water as I could into me. Didn't really care about the stitch if I got one, and kept on going. And surprisingly, another thing that I learned about doing like marathons from this, I say that like I've done marathons before. I've only ever done one. But another thing I learned is that after a certain point, you just don't get a stitch anymore when drinking water. Because I know if I'm running 10Ks, there's no point in stopping to drink water because it just slow me down. Because I'll just get a stitch straight away. But surprisingly, after this, like, I just was so dehydrated that my body did not care about gulping water, and I could easily just run after and not get a stitch. But that water, it became addicting. Like, just the taste of water, because I was gone at this point. I was just addicted to that taste of water. So now, about every 2 or 3 laps, I was stopping, pounding as much water as I can like a goddamn animal. People driving by, if they were watching, they'll just see like and then starting to run again. So I was stopping a lot more frequently for what I'd say maybe every 2 to 3 laps, which is about 1600 to 2.4. And around, I think it was lap 28, I started to take my gel pack. I only had one gel pack left over from a time I was given a couple gel packs, and I just had half of it, put the other half in my pocket. And by this point, my hands were so slippery from not only sweat, but the spinning rain for the last couple hours. So I just sort of tried to rip it open, but it didn't budge. So I went and put the rest in my pocket. So again, another little bit of animalistic behavior from me while I was doing my marathon. But yeah, I kept on running, and it got to about lap 30-ish to 40, and then I started to experience a lot of cramps in my legs and thighs. And I don't think I've ever experienced this amount of cramping when running before, probably because I've never run more than 16 kilometers before. But yeah, the pain was like unimaginable. I didn't think, because I watched a lot of a footy, right, which is a Australian Football League. I can't even explain the sport. It'd take an entire video. But in footy, a lot of the time you'll see players on the sidelines getting their like thighs and legs rubbed by physios, and that's to probably prevent them cramping. And that's honestly what I did when I was running around this track, because my legs were fucked. Like, they were respectfully fucked. And so I'll try to demonstrate for you. Basically, from now on, every single time I went to go get water, I'd just like rub my legs and do this. So if you were driving by, you're just seeing me rubbing my legs and thighs like a maniac. So not the greatest experience for people if they were looking, but I doubt they were. But yeah, that's something that I learned that I don't know if that's a good thing to do. If you guys run marathons, please tell me if I'm doing the right thing. But that's something I did have to do as well. After about lap 40, I checked my phone to see if my timer was going and realized that it wasn't. So I was like, oh shit, because I wanted to record the whole thing and be like, oh, look at my time. But the time didn't really matter because I remembered the exact time. This is on the day. I have no idea now. I remembered this time that I started. So I just was like, all right, let me write down the time that I started so I don't forget. And then I'll just calculate it once I finish. So that worked as well. But I don't get the cool screenshot of being like, oh, I've been running for 5-something hours. Yay. It's okay. So I checked that and I was like, shit, it's not going. God damn it. And at lap 40, like, it's only 13 laps to go after that. But Jesus Christ, 13 laps is a lot when your body is completely and utterly destroyed. And it probably, I honestly, I don't even know if I could have pushed further. Because normally when I finish a run, I'm like, I could have gone a little bit further. But this time, when I finished, I was generally, like, I couldn't walk anymore. But yeah, most of those last 13 laps, I did have to walk. God damn, it got to a point where literally my running was like an old man. I was like, and I was just destroyed. I was defeated. But another funny thing about that too is when I got to lap 40, my mind just sort of said to me, okay, brother, like, because normally when I run, I motivate myself by David Goggins, and his voice is in my head being like, stay hard, motherfucker, and all that type of shit. And it works, so may as well, right? But lap 40, I could hear absolutely nothing, which I think, yeah, that's 32 kilometers in. I could hear nothing. You know, it was just pissing down rain. I was soaked. I was miserable. My feet were hurting, covered in blisters, and I just could hear nothing. So I was honestly a little bit terrified. And I was like, man, I can't do this shit by myself. There was not a soul at that park at that time as well. Like, there was people coming through throughout the day, but it got to a point where the rain was just so crazy that just no one was there. So I went in my backpack, got my phone out, put on motivational video that lasted like an hour, chucked it in my back of my backpack, and I started like, or just walking because my legs were fucked and everything was fucked. Surprisingly, though, walking kind of hurt more. It hurt my legs more, like they were cramping when I was walking, but when I was running, my feet hurt more, which I don't know why. I'm not a scientist, so I wouldn't know. Guess I'll find out one day. Funny thing about that, though, is halfway through this, like, stay hard, you know, if you're depressed, man, just keep on going. You know, sometimes in life, you just never quit. And I just got all this shit blasting just around me on full blast. I don't have, I didn't bring earphones at all. I don't run with headphones, whatever. So I just had it in my backpack blasting on full volume. And this lady came with her dog. And I don't know what she was thinking, but she was probably just so confused why there's just this teenager running around the track like with this shit in his backpack blasting all these motivational things, and I don't know. I felt a little bit, like, surprisingly, I feel embarrassed now, but at the moment, I honestly couldn't care less. I was like, dude, like, you think embarrassment is gonna get me off this track? No, I've been out here since 5 o'clock. It's now like 9-10 o'clock, and I am literally not leaving this track. Like, it could start hailing down, you know, a car could crash through and hit me. I'm getting back up and I'm running this goddamn race. Like, I'm not leaving until it's done. Nothing was stopping me. Not the piss, not the embarrassment, not the blisters. Nothing. Oh, that's right. I need to shit my pants like the last 20 laps too. So that really sucked. But didn't. So that was good. I actually did think that I was gonna shit my pants. Like, I was honestly prepared. I was like, what would David Goggins do? Would he stop or would he shit his pants? And I know David Goggins would shit his pants. So I was like, well, if it happens, it happens. I'll just shit my pants and keep on running. But luckily I didn't. So that was good. Anywho, we got to about lap 46, 47. And I'm running around the corner and I start to see someone a little bit familiar. And I'm like, is that my brother? And he's just walking down, like, looking at me. And I'm like, huh? Why is he here? And then he starts, like, speaking to me over the fence. He's like, hey, like, did you know that mom was calling you and all that? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, they think you're dead. They think you ran away. And I'm like, but yeah, basically what happened is my family thought I had either died or run away because I'd left at 5:30, which I don't normally do. I used to do it when I started running, but not anymore. They did eventually say after to me, they're like, oh yeah, no. So we knew you left at 5:30. That wasn't the problem. It was that it got to like 10 and 10:30, 10:40, and we were just like, he's been running for 5 hours. What the fuck? Who does that? He's never done that, which is true. I've never run for more than an hour and a half at this point. So it's like 5.5 hours. He must be dead. But yeah, I sorted that out, and I still remember I was running by him, or I think at that point I was just speed walking, and he was like, oh, stop, so we can like talk. And I was like, no, I can't stop. I'm lap 47 out of 53. I'm almost there. Just keep on coming this way. And yeah, but yeah, I walked like the rest of those laps up to 53, and then the last like 200-300 meters, I was just like, come on, you son of a bitch. And I started like just the slowest jog imaginable. If you saw me, I was probably like slower than anyone's grandparents, and I can honestly bet you everything to me, because I was insanely slow on that last 200-300 meters while I was trying to run at full speed. I did actually, though, get to one point where my body like fixed out to like 80% running speed just for 1 second and then went straight back. But yeah, I crossed that finish line, and it was definitely one of the best feelings ever that I've ever experienced in my entire life. And yeah, it was pretty motivational. I did also have to walk home after that, so that sucked. But then I got to lie down, so that was pretty cool. I'd say if I learned anything from this run, it's that you can do a lot more than you think you can. You know, my goal now, and has been for a couple weeks or a month, is to run ultra marathons one day. And, you know, this has gotten me a quarter of the way there. So 26, 27 miles is completed now, and I want to work up to 100 miles. So I'm a quarter of the way there to my goal, and I now know the true pain of what I should experience, but I also got to realize that I'm going to probably experience that tenfold if I'm going to run 100 miles one day. If you have read David Goggins' book, or you just listen to like all these motivational podcasts, God damn, it unlocks a beast inside of you. With that being said, this has been a long story time, so I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay running. Unless you shit your pants, but I would keep on running if I shit my pants, just like David Goggins, so that's pretty exciting.